Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a little while since I uploaded anything. I am still here and we are all still pretty much well and healthy apart from the fact that I suspect 4 out of 4 of us in the house currently have COVID, although I'm not testing positive yet. I have a bit of a husky throat, so I fully expect to test positive in a day or so, but I'm here, I'm okay. And I just wanted to do some filming because it's been so long and I actually have a backlog of stuff to be filmed. But the thing about filming is it takes a very long time to set up everything and make sure that I've washed my hair and have makeup on, and it just takes a really long time, and then I have to have the energy to actually talk and film and blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. So I have a lot written and not much filmed. So I wanted to kind of get along with the filming. So today I want to talk about an exercise that is based on DMT, no, it's DBT. DMT is the drug, right? DBT, Dialectical Behaviour Therapy. It's a really simple little exercise that you can do to make your life happier. And who doesn't want to be happier right now? The news is really miserable. You know, we're all still years into the pandemic, and I mean, personally speaking, we are deep in the pandemic now. Please don't worry about me, guys. I'm fine. I just have a sore throat. That's literally my only symptom. So it's basically a practice which collects positive experiences. In DBT, they call it accumulating positives, and I've called it how to be a little bit more happy, or how to be a bit happier, because at the end of the day, it's not about being suddenly super, super happy. It's about just taking the time to do small things that individually make you happier, and then by the end of the day you're like, wow, I've had a good day. I wonder why that is. Is it because I've been doing nice things, maybe? And so the idea is that you collect positive and pleasant experiences, and therefore also pleasant emotions that go along with those experiences. So the exercise can hopefully reduce your vulnerability to difficult emotions, but also leave you a little bit less time to think about how bad things are. And I have a tendency to ruminate. I don't think that's just an autism thing. I think it's also, you know, people who have OCD and depression, we all kind of have a tendency to mull things over, and actually that really doesn't help at all, does it? No, it doesn't. So before we begin the actual exercise of accumulating all these positive things in your life, one really cool thing to do is to identify your values and kind of like your goals and your priorities in life on a really, really big macro scale. So not like, oh, I really like this thing, but what is important to me? Friendship is really important to me. This is a really cool thing to know about yourself. I did this when I was doing ACT therapy. I struggle with acronyms. ACT, which is acceptance and commitment. Is the T for therapy? So then ACT. I don't know. So click on the link and do this test. It doesn't take very long, although it's kind of harder than it looks, but it's free, and then you can get your top 5, I think, values. For me, my top 5 values came out as authenticity, friendship, meaningful work, curiosity, and intelligence. And I did find it pretty hard to do, because you're like, well, what is more important, being, you know, your curiosity or knowledge or something like that. So it's a little bit abstract in that sense. Sorry, got hairs in my eye. So what basically you find out your values, and this guides the rest of your practice, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So let me just be clear. This is not about toxic positivity. I am a chaotic neutral. I don't believe in positivity, and I also don't kind of believe in negativity. I'm very much like, I want things to be neutral, like autism. I'm not positive about autism. I'm just like, this is the fact. And then the value that you put on it, that's on you. The stigma and everything, that's on you. But this is just the neutral fact, what's going on. So I like that kind of, that's a very key element of my being. What was I talking about again? This is what happens when I don't script. So this is actually a video that I didn't script, and as you can tell, I talk very quickly and waffle on quite a lot. Let me know if you like this. If I talk too quickly, there is actually a function on YouTube. If you click one of the settings buttons, you can slow it down. You can slow me down. You can speed me up. It's great. Anyway, we're not talking about oppressive, toxic positivity, any of that kind of stuff. This isn't about kind of forcing yourself to just look on the bright side. It's not like that. It's more about pleasant experiences, and this is completely what you find pleasant. So that means if you think everyone's always going on about how great it is to go for a stupid walk and you hate walks, don't put this on your list just because you feel like you should like going outside. You don't have to. Do what you like. So yeah, it's totally you, and I'll give you some examples of things that I like, although I'm kind of open to new things that I like because I like leaving the house, and I haven't done a lot of that in the last 2 years. I like having adventure. Yeah, so I could do with accumulating some positives in my life as well. So basically, you build the life that you want, starting from knowing what are your positive and pleasant experiences, what are the things that you like to do. Doing these things will increase the positive emotions that you have on a day-to-day basis. You are also focusing your attention on these positive experiences because it's a conscious exercise that you're trying to do. And quite importantly, they are split up into energy categories. So different activities for when you have low, medium, or high levels of energy. When does anyone ever have high levels of energy, right? This is like me, high energy right now, just about surviving with a baby and a 4-year-old. Okay, so basically what you want to do is list things out. Now, I did create a kind of printable download thingy-majiggy for you. So if you want to sign up to receive that, you can sign up for my emails and you will receive that in your emails. So there's an incentive to join my email list. And I also promise to my current email subscribers that I will actually start sending out emails. So let's start with low energy, because I suspect that's where a lot of you will be, and I really should be on the low energy stuff, but I have too much to do. So for me, lying down, listening to music on headphones and specific music is very relaxing, and I don't usually remember to do it. It's also very regulating when I'm actively worked up about something, when I'm actively emotional. There are certain songs that help, they're like stimmy songs, I don't know, they help to regulate me. One that I mentioned was Strawberry Fields Forever by the Beatles. So other things that I really enjoy doing are making a cup of tea. I am British, well, you know, I was born in Britain and I have some affinity with tea, and I do have a collection of, you know, what I like to call fancy teas. My husband's more of a Yorkshire Gold with milk kind of guy, but I have like green teas and milky oolongs, turmeric, and I like teas, and that's pretty low energy actually. So for me, I have well, I've never been diagnosed, but as far as I'm aware, you don't really need to be. I have a condition called Raynaud's, which means that tips of my toes often get, people show on your hands, you know, you end up with like really white fingers. From this one, it's like a line. It's weird actually, Raynaud's, but I don't get on my hands, I get on my toes. It's not very nice. So staying warm is very important to me. Unlike many autistic people, I like the summer. Having said that, I like European summer, which is Northern European summer. So, you know, I just like the warm weather. If it could be 25 degrees and sunny all year round, that would be perfect. Yeah. Where do I need to move to make that happen? Probably the Canary Islands. Things that you can do to keep yourself warm. Snuggling under a blanket, an electric blanket. I tried one of those things, kind of thinking like it's an old person thing, and actually it's really nice. I want one maybe on my Christmas list next year. Warm socks, warm hoodies. What are those things called? I only know what they're called in Dutch. Like cherry stone pillow thingies that you put in the microwave. Just things to keep you warm. That's one of mine. Another one of my low energy things is watching guilty pleasure type TV, and usually this is like things that I've seen before, my kind of go-to comfort shows, which I've been kind of rotating since I got pregnant, and pretty much like all the way I've just been going through the same shows, which is like Gilmore Girls, Buffy and Angel, and Bones, and what else have I been, like I've got a list, and I kind of like when I'm finished with one I can go through to the other. Encanto. How many times has everyone watched Encanto since it's been released? I would love to do a video on that. So these guilty pleasure, I mean, I don't feel guilty about liking any of this stuff. It's just comforting to me. It's kind of important that I watch something that I already know, because then you don't have any kind of emotional surprises. You know how the plot goes and stuff like that. The last low energy one on my list is kind of more of a category, but it's just considering sensory enjoyment. So do you like, well, for me, I really like fidget toys and stuff like that. I really have a thing about lights, as you can imagine from my channel background and vibe. I really like sparkly lights and shimmery things and relaxing lights. I hate bright, harsh lights. So for my birthday last year, my mum actually got me a galaxy lamp, and when it's completely dark, it lights up the whole room like a galaxy, and it's amazing. I love it. And or if you're more of a touchy person, you can get like those sequin pillows that you can mush around, or those minky blankets to stroke. So that's kind of a whole category of things that you might enjoy doing. But that's the low energy stuff. And of course you can fill in what you like. So onto medium energy, and obviously some people this will take more energy and some people less, but this is just my examples of the things that I'm putting on my list. So for me, medium energy is cooking a delicious meal from scratch usually. I really like to cook. Executive functioning doesn't usually extend into the kitchen because I just really enjoy it. And for me, having the peace and quiet to actually cook a meal is really fun. But it does take a little bit of energy because you've got to stand the whole time, you know, and you also have to plan to have the food in the house. So cooking a meal is on my medium list. Going for a short walk is also on a medium list. You know, this whole try and get out every day, which did not happen when my baby was a newborn. It didn't happen at all. That's another video too. But generally speaking, if I don't have like a bad pain day, I've been having these kind of arthritis flare-ups recently and everything else is okay, medium energy, I can usually get out for a short walk, like walk around the block or to the local playground or something like that. So medium energy. I've put this down to do a yoga video on YouTube. When have I ever done a yoga video on YouTube or like Pilates or something? I should though. I should do it if I've got medium energy. It's not that hard. My gosh, all these things I should do. Another medium energy item for me is to start a new show on Netflix. I sometimes find it a little bit hard to start new things because I'm like, is this really going to be worth it? Am I going to enjoy it? Is there any point? So it takes a little bit more effort, and then you might think a show's looks fun because the trailer kind of advertised it one way and then it actually turned out to be kind of dark and upsetting or something. So, you know, I find that I need a bit more emotional energy to start new things. And medium energy for me would also be something like meeting a friend for a drink. And you can see this ties in to my values because friendship is one of my values. Yes, that's something that I haven't really mentioned, is how each one of these ties into my values, but it does. Now, some of you, that might be more of a high energy thing, but I'm quite a sociable autistic person. That's probably the ADHD. I like being social, and then I get overwhelmed by it. And then I get burnt out. But after a relatively quiet 2 years, not doing a lot of in-person socializing, I'm really kind of like, okay, yeah, I would like to do some of that, please. And then we've also got higher energy ones. And for me, excuse me, this is really now turning into a scratchy throat, isn't it? So the high energy stuff, so the high energy stuff, sorry. The high energy stuff does not happen every day. I mean, I don't think I've had a high energy day for quite some time, but it's kind of good to think about, and it's good to be like, oh look, I'm feeling quite good today. I'm feeling quite high energy. What can I do? You know? So I've found this the hardest category actually, but I'll tell you what I figured out in the end. So number one was a night out with my husband, going to a restaurant or something like that. For me, that's extremely high energy because it requires planning, it requires getting a babysitter, it requires booking, it requires a lot of research. For me, I have celiac disease, so I have to eat gluten-free for the rest of my life. So, and the Netherlands is really not, it's not very gluten-free friendly, I don't think. So another high energy thing would be to plan a trip or a vacation. I'm more about planning than doing sometimes. Sometimes planning these things can be a lot of fun, and they can also alleviate a lot of the anxiety around travel, especially these days. But to be honest, my planning generally evolves around like, where is good weather? Because for 6 months out of the year, I'm just like really cold and sad. So number 3 for me would also be to plan or script some fun videos. This is one of them. And you might think, but Sam, isn't that work? And then we'll go back to my values and, oh wait, what are my values? My values, meaningful work is one of my values. And so it's like, I do my work and I actually work pretty hard on the stuff that I do. Even when I don't produce video output, there's still work to be done. But sometimes it's like, sometimes I should just do something a little bit more fun and not worry so much about it. So just planning some fun videos or filming some fun videos even, that's kind of a high energy activity that, you know, like, why not? Why should I have to be so rigid in thinking I have to do this for work? I can do this for fun too. Is this fun? No, today is not fun, but planning this video was fun, so there. Another high energy one would be to work on a skill, and for me at the moment that is piano and Japanese. I bought myself a piano, a digital keyboard, digital piano, about a year ago now. And when I was pregnant, I was practicing. I set myself the goal of doing 15 minutes every day, and then I had a baby who just screamed for months and months and months, so I stopped practicing that because I was too busy wailing in the corner. But I've kind of got back to that. When I do have a few minutes of downtime, I think, oh, I will play some piano. And I got some books to kind of like guide me through that because I don't want to go to piano lessons or something. It's too much. But it's been really fun. But it does take a little bit more energy. Another high energy one would be in-person socializing with friends. I can usually meet one person one-on-one for a drink, and that's pretty fine, that's pretty medium, but as soon as it's like more than one person, the energy demand becomes much higher, so that's in my high energy category, but I also get energy from it. If it's people that I am not sort of made anxious by, like it's their fault. How dare they exist? And my last high energy thing that makes me feel good is to batch cook healthy food. And people who follow me on Instagram will know that during January this year, I set myself the challenge of like every Sunday I do a batch cooking. That sounds like I'm not a native English speaker. I do a batch cooking. I cook a batch. Am I even a native English speaker at this point? I don't know. The problem is I'm not any other kind of speaker, so you know what I mean though. It doesn't matter. Language is about communication, it's not about perfection. So what I was cooking, I was making like, I'm back on the keto diet now, so I was making like a keto granola, and I was making meatballs, and I was making all these kind of things that I could make a big batch of, and then either put in the freezer or eat all throughout the week. So I've got like, cheese and ham muffins I made. You can just grab one and go. So it's like easy ways to feed myself and stay on, stay healthy and eat the foods that make me feel good. And so that's also a bit of a self-perpetuating thing, because it can also be the other way around, but when you've got high energy, you make nutritious food for yourself, and then you feed yourself the food that makes your body have more energy. So that's kind of a nice one. And I would also recommend doing this as not part of this exercise. I have waffled on about this quite a lot, all my pleasant experiences, but these are the things that are like my daily things that I kind of do to make myself feel good, or I could do to make myself feel good. And this list makes me sound really like YouTubers who are just like, my morning routine involves getting up at 5 and meditating for half an hour, and I'm just like, this stuff doesn't get done every day. This is like the things that I think of that are like, yeah, I'd like to do that. My everyday is much less fun than this, but that's the point of this exercise. So the idea is that you make a list of as many of these things that you can think of and categorize them into low, medium, and high energy, and then print it out or just write it down on a piece of paper and stick it somewhere like your fridge, somewhere that you will see many times a day, and it will remind you, a visual reminder to keep doing things. You can be actively thinking of, first of all, what is my energy level? And second of all, like, what can I do now that would be nice? And that's it. It's a really simple exercise. I don't know, this is something about grandmothers and eggs, but that's just the essence of the exercise. Now, I understand that it is not actually as easy as it sounds, because if you are already depressed or exhausted or just feeling blah, like, you might be in a space where you can't get out of bed, or you just don't feel like doing anything. You don't want to do any of these things, even though you kind of like know in theory it'll make you feel better. You sort of a bit anti it just because you're like, I don't want to feel better kind of stuff. There's another skill or a kind of exercise that you can use to trick yourself here. So basically the idea is that you want to avoid avoiding, which is that you're lying in bed and you're avoiding the day, you're avoiding something, and the object is to avoid doing that. And so this is something called the opposite action skill. So how it works is you kind of observe, okay, what is it? What is it? What is it that you feel like avoiding? I can't. So once you've identified the thing that you feel like avoiding, you try to do it, but with the opposite thoughts and actions and opposite body language. So if you're currently kind of like on, what's this? What's this? I don't know. On the bed. That's better, yeah. You don't want to move, or you're in your favorite chair and you're just like, I don't want to do this or something. Okay, it's like but you do want to do it, you just can't make yourself do it. You can't want to do it, right? Apparently I'm good at communication. So for example, if you are in your bed and scrolling, or doom scrolling as you might well be at the moment, and you just want to continue doing that, but you know it's not good for your overall well-being, is it? No. And so actively doing what you're avoiding will make you feel better. You go get that cup of tea, it'll make you feel better. 9 times out of 10. The 10th time is where you burn yourself on the kettle. So basically what you do is you think opposite thoughts. So instead of thinking, oh, I can't be bothered, you think, I can be bothered. Yeah, exactly, with that tone of voice too. So instead of thinking, oh, I want to stay in my bed, you think, I want to get out of bed. I'm really looking forward to going to my walk. You just think these things to yourself. It's basically like a trick for yourself, but it works. Or, I feel confident about going out of the house. And I said, and it's not just about the thoughts, but it's also about your body language and your posture. So instead of like, I don't know what this is. Like, my body hurts, guys. I'm carting around a heavy baby. So opposite body language, it sounds a bit weird, but instead of kind of dragging yourself out of bed and, walk into the bathroom, I can't really be bothered, it would be like having a really great stretch and thinking, walking around really confidently, putting a swing in your step. And this makes it easier to do. It's also kind of fun to act really silly around your own house, because that in itself is kind of a positive thing. Both of these things will help make it easier to do the thing and also repeat doing the thing, because all of these are kind of like what are these things called? Self-fulfilling prophecies? No. A circle, a not vicious circle, an unvicious circle. In that you do one thing once and you get positive feedback on it. You start feeling better and then you can do another thing and it kind of spirals. An upward spiral. That's the one I was looking for. So there you have it. This is a simple little exercise that I've somehow stretched into a much longer video than it needed to be. So I hope that you're all doing all right at the moment. I will be hopefully bringing out more content soon. Of course, having COVID, I do not have any childcare. I do not have any school to send my child to. It's just completely impossible to really get anything done. Anyway, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I appreciate you hanging out with me during this difficult time. Let me know if you've tried this exercise before and what your values turn out to be from the little quizzy quiz that I put the link to down below. And I hope to be back very soon with more video content and hopefully like moving on up for the rest of the year. It has been quite a baptism of fire having a second child. I think probably nobody could have been prepared for the child that I had. She had a very severe silent reflux, which is basically where you have reflux, but there's no vomiting. So it's just burning pain in your esophagus. So yeah, I basically had a baby for many months that screamed for several hours a day. And it was a complete nightmare. And the rest of the family, the 3 of us, were all kind of still recovering a little bit from that. But it's been, so it's not really been kind of like the first, almost 9 months that I expected, but things are getting a little bit easier now, and they should continue to get easier, until I have a toddler. She's also super, super strong, so she's just started crawling at 7 months, and then pretty much in the next couple of weeks started like lifting it, pulling herself up to standing and cruising and walking with support and stuff. And so it's just like, I strongly suspect she'll be walking fully by about 10 months, which is pretty early. So it's so much fun to run after a little one who doesn't appreciate that cat food is not for eating, even though she does think she's a cat. Anyway, I have talked way too long. My throat is scratchy. I am going to go have a little rest now. But at least I filmed the video and I've put it on the internet, which is apparently the highest of energy things I can do right now. But hope that you are all well, and I will see you next time. Bye. I don't know why I'm saying that. That doesn't tie in with the point that I was going to make. Okay, just brain. So, yeah, it's difficult. This is where I've realised that my blusher does not match my eyeshadow, sorry. That's also why I don't wink. There's a running joke in my husband and I's life about my winking because I'm really, really bad at it. And for the Americans watching this, if you like tea, get an electric kettle. Please don't put it in the water in the microwave. Also, don't drink your tea with the tea bag in. There's a specific amount of minutes and temperature that you need to actually stew tea properly. It's just, it's one of those things that I'm just like, people say they don't like tea because they boil green tea at 100 degrees and leave it in for 10 minutes. It's like, of course you don't like green tea then. Anyway, wow, this is really what happens when I don't script it. It's alright, it's natural, it's authentic. That's one of my values.